The whole point of this film was to reintroduce Tarzan to a brand new generation and really show off why he was the king of the jungle and really capture that sense of fun and adventure that made his character popular in the first place. They failed.
Yes.
On every goddamn level. Whoo! Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another installment in the Gauntlet of Garbage 2016 edition, in which we are going to be spending the entirety of this month going back and looking at some of the worst films from 2016, all leading up to my 10 worst films of 2016 list at the end of this month. Now, I had said we were only going to do this on weekends, but then I stopped and actually thought about how many films we had to discuss, and I realized I'd be putting out like 10 videos a day on the weekends if I did that. So instead, we're going to try and do this just as often as we can throughout the week, maybe even have it be daily. But today we were talking about the Tarzan reboot.
The Legend of Tarzan.
The Legend of Tarzan. Who gives a crap?
Copyright, apparently.
Yeah, what was that? That's the weirdest thing. I've never seen a title in the movie that actually put the little copyright symbol right next to its own name. It's like, I know you own this. I'm sitting in the theater watching it right now. It's like, did you think that would stop pirators? Like, they would be recording this and go, oh, dude, they put the copyright right in the middle of the movie. What are we going to do now, man?
So, and you said, like, Tarzan is a public domain, so...
Isn't he? He's old enough to be. I think, like, I think the movie rights might be. But at the same time, it's like...
It's like, I remember, like, in Kingdom Hearts, there was, like, an issue with the copyright thing, so yeah. Maybe he's not public domain.
It's one of those in which... Honestly, I don't know how it works, because also he's not an American concept.
Yeah.
It's a British concept, so it's some whole different thing. But
yeah.
This conversation is far more interesting than this entire movie.
Yeah.
This movie, how on earth do you make a Tarzan film boring? Like, and first off, I just want to say, I'm about to get kind of passionate about Tarzan, but I want you to know, I have no dog in the Tarzan fight. I don't give a crap about Tarzan. I was not asking for this film. No one was asking for this film. 2016 and 2017 are going to go down as the years in which no one was asking for the films that they got. No one was asking for a Tarzan reboot. No one was asking for a Ben-Hur reboot. No one was asking for Underworld and Triple X to come back. No one was asking for any of these films. And yet Hollywood's just like, wow, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel of the things to bring back. It's either that or come up with some new ideas. So Tarzan's still available as a property, which so many films these days are trying to go for the shared universe thing. Like G.I. Joe and Transformers are trying to do a shared universe right now. And they're going to try and bring Mask and Rom and the Micronauts into it, which, no, don't do that. But then also Universal Studios is trying to do the Monster shared universe, which I'm kind of okay with because they're the ones who started the whole idea of a shared universe. Their monsters used to cross over all the time back in the 30s and 40s. But at the same time, it's like, I don't really have any interest in seeing that these days.
I think people are just realizing how popular the Marvel universe thing is.
They're trying to get that Marvel money.
Yeah, they're trying to hop on the bandwagon.
That's exactly what it is. But because everyone is trying to do that, I kept watching this film going like, there's no reason to do this unless you're trying to start some shared universe thing. So I kept looking for like the John Carter cameo at the end or some crap, like trying to look for like, oh god, who are some of those other characters from back then, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to pop up, or basically in those the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, people to show up, and I was like, kind of glad they didn't do that. But now I have no understanding for why you would attempt something like this. Alright, so this is the story of the film. We all know the story of Tarzan. This is what happened after Tarzan. This is what happened after he went back to England, found out who he was, got civilized, took on the name John. And the name John to me is the biggest problem with this whole film. Not the name itself, but kind of what it represents. Because this is the story of Tarzan. And this is him after he's gone back to civilization, after he's gotten civilized and everybody calls him John. Everyone calls him John. He calls himself John, says he's not Tarzan. Samuel L. Jackson's character calls him John. Jane calls him John. The people back in Africa call him John. And we had this with subtitles on because we could not make out like what they were saying. Like the audio on this DVD was garbage. So we had to put the subtitles on. Even the subtitles just said, John says. And I was like, So it's a Tarzan film in which you went, yeah, Tarzan's kind of goofy. We don't want to really lean into that. It almost felt like this was them trying to do the real world take on Tarzan. Because that's worked out so well for the DC films. And it was like, I'm sorry, you can't freaking do man raised by gorillas in the realistic sense. You need to go far in the other direction. No, you need to have them find mystical gems in the jungle that gives powers to people, or have dinosaurs roaming in the jungle or some crap.
Here's the thing, I thought, he was gonna be, in denial of, his name.
That's what I thought, too.
And then, at the end, he accepts himself as Tarzan and returns to the jungle.
That's exactly what I thought they were going to do.
But I don't think that happened.
No,
I mean, they show him with the African tribe and with Jane, having their kid and everything, but they don't show them swinging from vines or anything like that.
Yeah, Tarzan swings with vines a little bit in this, but man, they get him out of the jungle almost immediately after they put him in there. He is speaking so flatly, but also very proper. He never
He's proper. He walks straight up and very sophisticated.
Yeah, there is a moment early on in which he is in Britain and he sees his wife, Jane, teaching some school kids, and he puts his fist down on the ground and he goes, yes, because I grew up walking on all fours, my bone structure changed, and he puts his fist down and all of a sudden it turned into monkey fist.
Magical CGI monkey fist.
And we never see that again. We never see him. He never once in here actually has to go on all fours or anything. That just hit me right now. He's on two legs this entire goddamn film.
Even when he's running through the jungle, which by the way would have probably been a lot easier if he was on four.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You start the film off by going, I can walk on all fours really well. Check this out. Never comes up.
Nope.
Never once comes up.
Nope.
Ever. Jesus, it's stupid. But alright, so in this film, hold on, I have to look up Samuel L. Jackson's character's name because, fun fact,
George Williams Washington.
Okay, cool. I'm glad one of us was saying. But George Williams Washington was actually a real person.
Yes.
And he was actually someone who fought in the Civil War and actually did work with the American government to open relationships with Africa. And that's what he's doing in here. And this is what this movie wanted to do. And I do have to kind of give him some props for this. Because this film realized that the whole concept of Tarzan is racist. Because Tarzan it's basically the white savior stereotype of, hey, this one white guy can go to an area where there are no white people and he becomes the master of that entire area. He becomes the best at that. Tarzan was really the one who made that a big thing. When he was really the first fictional character to kind of come along and make that a huge deal. And the thing is, you go back and you watch those old Tarzan films, they're pretty darn racist. But you go back and you read the original Tarzan books, they're even more racist. Holy cow, it is hard to read those original Tarzan books with a 21st century mindset. So I have to give this film props that it realized we have to kind of address this. So what this film is about is it's about Tarzan and what was his character's name again? George.
Well, yeah, George. Just call him George.
Okay, but it's about Tarzan and George having to go back to the jungle because all these tribes are being put into slavery, and they have to stop these slave traders. And I was like, okay, so you're addressing racism in Africa and racism that white people have had towards Africa. So I'm like, okay, you're attempting to address the racism of Tarzan here. And when you meet the tribesmen, they're not the stereotypes. They're not the cartoon characters that they always made them in the old Tarzan films. They actually are characters. They actually are competent people. So I'm like, okay, you're trying to make up for the sins of the past. And I will give you credit for that, but you made this film boring. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they made it boring because they tried to address all those issues, and I'm not saying they made it boring because Tarzan now isn't racist. I'm saying they made it boring because they're we're going to make this a political story. And it's you know what I don't think of when I think of Tarzan? Politics. Yeah. And oh my god, there's just so much talking in this film. Talking from a man who only could say, me Tarzan, you Jane.
And it wasn't just him, it was all the militant, political, like,
Yeah,
and mercenaries, like all the white people who like want to take over the.
What was his name? Christoph Waltz's character is just boring. He's just playing that Christoph Waltz character you've seen in everything. But they're talking about the diamond trade, and they're talking about how this man is taking control of the Congo, and all this stuff. And like, I just want to see Tarzan riding on an elephant. That's the entire point of Tarzan. There is good stuff you're bringing up here, but a Tarzan film is not the place to have this discussion. And, oh God, I'm so nervous about like saying this stuff too, because I feel like I'm kind of coming in here and going like, we should not be addressing racism in Africa. It's like, you totally should.
But not in a Tarzan movie, basically.
Monkey Man who swings from vine in loincloth is not the guy to deliver that message. This film is the least Tarzan film you will ever see. And it's like I said, the whole fact that he is John, not Tarzan, is the microcosm of the big problem for this, because it really did seem like this film would come in here and go, we don't want to acknowledge any of the like goofy stuff from Tarzan. We want to make this the serious 21st century take on Tarzan. We want to make this kind of like what they do with like the DC films. Where it's like, we gotta go darker with this because man, the cinematography in this is bland. We gotta go darker in this. We gotta have people be serious, which so many people think have a film be serious is code for have everyone speak in monotone, because dear God, does Tarzan never once emote.
And every time he does his Tarzan holler, it's always off screen.
That was the thing that made me go F this movie. That was the thing that blew me away, because I was like, all right, it's Tarzan. We gotta see like a scene in which like he's got the shirt ripped off, his pants are torn, he's kind of got like a loincloth going on again, and then you see him just like standing on like a waterfall with like all these animals around him, like he's declaring war on the people who came on the slave traders. He's gonna declare war on the people smuggling diamonds, and you just see him go, ah! No. It just cuts at one point after nothing. Like it wasn't even really like a big scene right before that. It then cuts to Christoph Waltz's character carrying Jane, played by Margot Robbie, who,
by the way,
wow, she did not want to be here.
By the way, Jane is supposed to be American in this version.
She is, and I think it's just because Margot Robbie couldn't do a British accent. It made no sense to me. But like it just cuts to a scene of him like carrying her and all of his mercenary guys walking through the trees, and you just hear off camera, and then he just turns and goes, "It sounds different than I thought it would." And I was like, "That's what we get." Like that is like if in the Avengers film, Cap finally says "Avengers Assemble," and it's like off screen, way in the distance, and you just see Thanos like turning and looking off in the distance, going, I guess they're doing something over there, and then he just keeps walking. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me with this crap? Like the one thing that's supposed to be like the big like get people stand up cheering in their seats moment happens off screen, way off in the distance, with the least amount of fanfare you could imagine. But there's no fanfare at anything in this film.
No, it's like even like Tarzan is like well known for like mimicking animal noises, but like even when he does it in this film, it is so quiet and monotone. Yeah. Like even when they had the subtitles on, it's like I didn't hear any of that.
What he was doing. Yeah, like in the subtitles it says mimics animal call, and I was like, when? I didn't hear any of that. What? The only time you can actually make it out that he's doing that is in a scene in which Jane comes back to their hut, and like you hear the bird calls, and she goes, "Oh, blue-crested raven, mating call."
And it's all mating calls because he wants to have sex with
like that's it's like this is how you flirt. This is first off, I can't buy you guys flirting because you have zero chemistry with each other. Never before will you ever see a Tarzan and Jane who don't give less of a crap about each other. Wow, they were so flat. Tarzan is incredibly flat in this. Like, I cannot get over that. The dude raised by gorillas, who swings around trees, beats his chest, yells out, is in the entire film talking like this. Like, he never really raises his voice. And all the dialogue they give him is just garbage. Like, every joke in here is terrible.
Yes.
Every joke. Like, there is an exchange, several exchanges back and forth between him and Samuel L. Jackson of them just making a joke about how, like, he's telling Samuel L. Jackson to get down and show his vulnerability to this gorilla to make the gorilla not kill him. And then he goes, "What do you want me to do? Lick its balls?" And then he goes, "It wouldn't hurt." He goes, "I'm not going to lick its balls." And he goes, "Looks like you're going to lick its balls." And, like, it goes back and forth over again. It's like, is this supposed to be funny? This is not funny.
I feel like
you keep coming back to the joke over and over again.
I feel like the worst jokes in exchange were with Jane and the bad guy.
They're terrible.
Like they're trying to make Jane like this witty.
They're trying to make Jane like not a damsel in distress. And kudos to you on trying that.
But she still is.
Yeah, she doesn't do jack in the. The one thing she does is there's a moment in which one of the African tribesmen is being lowered down in a cage into the water. She then jumps into the water after him, unlocks the cage, undoes her own handcuffs, and is like, okay, that's cool. And then she's immediately captured again.
Yeah.
That's it. Then that's her one moment to shine. And like she has dinner with Christoph Waltz's character, whose name is Rom, and the only reason I remember his name is because I was like, you named him after the Space Knights? Alright, cool. Rom the Space Knight is the villain in this. And yeah, there's moments they're having dinner, and like he's walking away, and she just goes, "Did you know that your mustache is slightly larger on one side than the other?" And I was like, "Oh, sick burns."
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
That is such weak sauce. By the way, I apologize because our heater just kicked on. We have no control over it in the building. I apologize. You're just gonna hear that sound in the background. My bad.
Yeah, but we're mostly through with this.
We're mostly through because who gives a crap? This film, like...
This movie didn't give a crap.
This film was just an assault to fun. Because it's like, as I mentioned, Tarzan runs around the jungle with animals, like, communicates with them, you know, swings on vines, goes up against big, crazy ideas. Like, if you go back and read, like, where some of the Tarzan books ended up going and where some of the Tarzan comics ended up going... Yeah, it's like supernatural stuff. It's like dinosaurs. It's like weird, like gods coming out of it.
Yeah, like finding Atlantis and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And it's like this one. They wanted to go real world with this. Like I said, they have him go into the jungle. The only time you really get to see him like showing off what he can do is there's one moment in which he gets challenged by another gorilla. Which, by the way, all the gorillas are dicks in here. Like, all the gorillas are just awful. Like there's a moment in which they open up fire on the gorillas. And I was like, all you've shown me throughout this entire film is the mom gorilla being nice to Tarzan.
And that's
all the other gorillas were just pieces of to him. Just garbage people to him. Like, his gorilla dad killed his real dad, like, in the most brutal way, just beating him.
Yeah.
And then spent Tarzan's entire life trying to kill him, too. And then there comes a moment in which you meet the gorilla who is like, this was my brother. And his brother kind of wants to kill him too. He wants to beat the crap out of him as well. Like, wow, all the gorillas are assholes in this film. All the gorillas are assholes. But he's going up against...
No, but it's like, it's not gorilla, because they mentioned that gorillas were gentle. It's like a different kind of...
Oh, yeah, it's some weird, like... It's some weird made-up race of gorillas that's like, no, they're the pissed-off gorillas. Like,
they're the asshole gorillas.
All right, sure. Makes me kind of hate them even more now, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, there comes a moment, the only moment in which we really get to see Tarzan, like being Tarzan in the jungle, there comes a moment in which he meets up with his old brother gorilla, and he goes, he's the king of the tribe now. I must prove my worth to him. I must fight him. He goes up and fights him. It's just him getting his ass kicked. Yeah. He hits his brother with a big piece of wood once. That's the only hit he gets in on him. The rest of that fight is just the gorilla pounding the crap out of him.
And even biting him at one point.
And biting him, which, by the way, he fixes the bite wound by chewing up ants and then rubbing them on that. It's like, that can't work. That cannot be a real thing. You're in the jungle. You mean to tell me there is not aloe out there or something? You could have just taken that, rubbed that on there, been good? Oh, God, it's so... This film did not know what it wanted to do because it never once makes you look at Tarzan and you go, yeah, Tarzan's a badass. Like, the big climax of this film, the only time he actually summons out animal friends is when he gets a bunch of bison to storm, like, this little portside development where all of the slave traders are at. And it's like, alright, that would have been cool, but man, I just don't care at this point. It's way too little, way too late. But then he gets on the boat where Christoph Waltz is. Christoph Waltz's weapon is a necklace. He's been like choking people out with necklaces this whole time. Comes to the big showdown between him and Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz just instantly comes up behind him, wraps the necklace around him, then ties the necklace to like a little board, and then the climax of a Tarzan film, of a film that features a guy who can run with the cheetahs, fight gorillas, swing on vines, control animals. The big climax is him on a boat just going, and it's oh, will Tarzan break free of this necklace? Are you kidding me with this crap? I would take a giant glowing light shooting up into the air with debris flying around it, like every other stupid movie this entire year, rather than this. This was dumb, and it was like a necklace is about to choke out King of the Jungle Tarzan.
You know, like, and here's
Get the out of here with this.
And here's the thing, like, while he was choking, he was, like, calling for the crocodiles, and I was like, oh, he's going to get his crocodile friends to chew through the necklace so he can beat the crap out of this guy. Like, nope. He just, like, burst through with his neck muscles, and the crocodiles just eat the bad guy, like, off screen.
Yeah, it was like, Tarzan really did nothing but just call some animals.
He's basically the Aquaman of the jungle.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. It's like, yeah, imagine if in the Aquaman film, he literally just saves the day by just summoning a bunch of trout, and he just stands there and doesn't do anything. It's like, no.
And the trout just slaps everybody in the face, and it's all CGI trout too. Poorly CGI trout.
We got to mention that. We talked recently about Gods of Egypt and how bad the CG looks in Gods of Egypt and how it was just constantly in your face. In this film, all the CG is terrible. And what gets me is I don't think there was one actual animal on this set. All the animals are CG, and none of them look like they're there.
No.
None of the gorillas even look close to gorillas.
They look so ugly compared to the real gorillas.
They look so ugly. Like, all their features look weird and stretched out. Like, maybe they were going for, like, well, like we said, it's not actual gorillas. It's a weird race of gorillas. Whereas it's a weird race that looks worse than gorillas.
Yeah.
It makes me go, these are not real things.
These are ugly and asshole gorillas, so I don't give a
There's a moment early on, like right when he gets to Africa, he finds like a pack of lions there, and he just gets down and he goes, I've known these lions since they were cubs, and he starts like rubbing up against them like on all fours as they rub into him. They don't look like they're there at all. Like, all I could think watching that was, there is some poor dude in a total green suit having to rub up against this guy. That is what this is, and Tarzan has to rub up against the dude in the green suit.
And all I could think of was, how long was he away in, like, London if he knew these lions were supposed to be, like, full grown? Because lions do not live that long.
I don't think they do. Because it feels like he's been gone for a long time.
It does, like, especially when you consider, like, how civilized he is and how proper he is.
Yeah, because when we first meet him, which, by the way, this shows just how little emotions anyone has in this film. When Jane first meets him out in the jungle, he can't talk, he can't say anything, he is a total savage, which they keep coming back and forth to the origin story. And it's just like, do you want to do the origin story or do you not want to do the origin story?
No, it's like...
Stop splicing this crap in here. But when she first meets him, he's there, totally naked, covered in dirt, and she's just totally like, oh, yes, well, you know, it's important to respect others' cultures, so yes, if you like to have this, then you can. Like, she's just being incredibly proper and mature, and I was like, you just ran in the heart of Africa into a naked white man covered in dirt, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, this is fine, whatever.
Well, he's white, so it's not that bad.
Like, yeah, it was so weird to me that I was like, do you have no questions about this at all? This is stupid. This is just stupid. Like, the fact that, like, it just felt like the director was staying off camera at all times going, show no emotions. Do not emote in this scene. That's what the kids like these days. They like it when you stare off in the distance and act real mature and have long specks of silence in there. It's like, no, people like emotions. People like heart. People like adventure. People like fun. And it's like, just, they didn't have any of that in here. This is just, and like I said, I don't care about Tarzan. At all. I have no dog in the Tarzan fight. But for God's sakes, this is just another piece of representation of Hollywood coming in and going, we know what people want. They want the real world take on these characters. No one wants that. No one. It drives me nuts that you've got Marvel over there embracing the goofy, embracing the sci-fi, embracing the fantasy, and they kill everyone in the box office, and Hollywood is still like, no. Those DC films that everyone's hating, that's where our money's at. this whole sad hero thing and muted colors, that's what the future of films are. It's like, God, if you had just made this and had like weird crazy animals in the jungle and him just going on some big crazy adventure and like him and Jane swinging out there and have Jane actually kick some ass too rather than just being some quiet teacher lady, it's like, this would have been so much more fun.
And you mentioned the muted colors, like that was what upset me too, because like Africa is like well known for its like beautiful colors, like its sunsets and its jungles and
I mean,
savannas.
You see that, but you can tell the cinematographer came in there and tapped the colors down. It's like, it drives me nuts. And like, the end of this whole film, the climax of the Tarzan film, he's not in the jungle. No. He's at this like, this portside little station that they built for all the slave traders. So it's him just running through buildings.
Buildings that were destroyed.
But he's running through these buildings and everything's just white. Like all the colors are white. Like white and gray. And it's like, there's no colors here. This is just bland to look at. You have water buffaloes destroying an entire village and it's so boring to look at. And I couldn't get over that at the end of it, as he was like right out there, he would like grab on like ropes on cranes and swing on them, and I was like, put him in the damn jungle and have him swing on a vine.
Well, they did.
Don't come in here and do the whole, audience that he can swing on a vine. Let's see how he can use that ability now in this area. It's like, no, put him in the jungle, he's fighting giant snakes, swinging on vines, boom.
Well, there was like 5 seconds of him swinging in the jungle while trying to get on a train.
So bad.
Oh, the CGI was awful.
How was the CG in the Disney Tarzan film that came out like 15 years ago better than this? This is crazy to me. So yeah, oh god, this one was dumb.
It was.
And it wasn't just dumb, it was an assault on fun. Like, it was an assault on people who were like, yeah, alright, cool, it was an assault on everybody who looked at adventurous heroes and was like, yeah, give me that, and the Hollywood studios are just like, tap all the colors down, have no one emote, don't put too much action in there, make sure our hero gets his ass kicked non-stop and never actually does anything. Make sure that the climax of this film is him just choking on a necklace. Like, I would rather him have just like, after he beat the villain, just gone off and like eaten a peanut and got lodged in his throat and like, that was the climax of the film. Like, that would have been more suspenseful. And all the dialogue is just bland. Like, how do you give Samuel L. Jackson bland dialogue? That guy can make any dialogue interesting. And like, after they destroy this ship and it looks like everything's saved and everything's alright, Samuel L. Jackson just goes, well, ain't this a hell of a thing? Pause for audience reaction that will not come. And I was like, that's the best you could do? That's it? That was it? Oh god, I gotta mention the worst Samuel L. Jackson line though. At the beginning of this film, when he's trying to make the deal with John to go back to the jungle and why he has to go back to Africa, he goes, you go, they get good publicity, we fix this whole thing with slave traders, ham sandwich. I was like, no one says that. That's not an expression. Just ham sandwich. Who told you that's a thing people say?
Maybe it was a thing they said back then.
I think it was Samuel L. Jackson trying to order lunch. I think it was just him kind of like going, what do I want to eat today? Alright, so you go back to the jungle. Do I want potato salad? No. Alright, then we fix these slave traders. Do I want those? And then you, ham sandwich. So stupid. But alright, I think that's about all we can say about Tarzan.
Yeah.
Legend of Tarzan.
Some legend, right?
That legend is indie. That legend will not continue. No one wanted this, god damn it. Alright. So that's all I have to say about Legend of Tarzan. Let us know in the comments down below if you happen to see this film, what you thought of it. No, you did. None of you saw this. I know you didn't. But also, if you want to see some more of our reactions to the worst films of 2016, then make sure that you click on the Gauntlet of Garbage playlist that's coming up at the end of this. Or if you want to see a positive look at movies, then click on the Quest for the Best playlist that is also going to come up, in which we look at the best films of 2016. And remember, at the end of this month, we are going to have our best and worst movies of 2016. Thanks, everyone. Come back next time.
Bye.